You know, I was very fortunate to be the first that really got the exposure that any other female boxer had ever gotten. Don King was my promoter. I was fighting on Showtime under Mike Tyson, and the whole world was watching. And on top of that, Jose Suleiman took me under the wing of the WBC and even named me an honorary WBC champion. So I had so many things working in the positive for me, so I had to train very hard. Every day I trained hard because I didn't want to let anyone down. I felt like I had the weight of everybody on my shoulders, so I didn't want to fail. It was very hard because I showed up sometimes in my early career and the doctor would say, I'm only doing physicals for the fighters. And I'm like, I am a fighter. I had, the dressing rooms was a janitor's closet. I was just insulted time and time again, but the more people insulted me and told me I couldn't do it, the harder I worked to try to do it. Exactly. If there was a woman that was good enough to spar with, I didn't want to spar with her because I was going to fight her at some point. So I did spar with guys, and I was very fortunate. I had a young professional, Jimmy Maloney, that sparred with me almost my entire career, and gave me different looks. He could go right-handed, left-handed, but we like to draw a line in the sand and just bang it out. And that's what I liked. That's what I loved. I wanted to put on a good show for the crowd each and every time out. I think it was at the beginning when I walked in the gym, the guys would look with a little like skepticism, like, why is she here? But they watched me work, they watched me train, they sparred with me, they saw me hit the mitts, and little by little, I won them over. I won their respect, and I feel like I won their support. And as my career grew, I felt like I had a good connection with the Mexican boxing fans because I fought like, in my mind, I fought like a Mexican style. Let's just go straight forward, throw the big hooks to the body. One of my favorite fighters, Julio Cesar Chavez. So that was just that intensity that I wanted to bring every time to the ring. Yeah. It's very different today. Like in my time, number one, a female fighter was definitely not going to headline a show, and especially in Mexico. But now we have Mexican fighters, the female fighters that are headlining shows and getting that huge support from the Mexican fans. We didn't have nutritionists, we didn't have strength and conditioning coaches. We just went to the boxing gym and boxed, and that's how we got better from boxing. And sometimes I think today we have so many specialists in our teams, our boxing teams, that they forget about what makes them great. And what makes you great is to get in that boxing ring and spar and hit the mitts. And the boxing gym, that's where you get better as a boxer. You don't go out and play something else to become a better basketball player. You play basketball. Boxing's given me everything. Boxing's given me life. There were many times when I was ready to throw the towel in on life. And because of my boxing career and the dreams that I had through boxing, and many of those became reality, I stayed and I fought a little harder in life because of boxing. But boxing is a savior, not just for me, but for many, many people. It's the only way out sometimes. When we really look at my very last fight, I had a stroke a few months earlier, and the doctor had told me don't fight. But because I had so much love for boxing, I thought that it didn't matter. I could overcome having a stroke, and I wanted to become a WBC champion one more time. And I fought Mia St. John, who I respect as a businesswoman, but I don't respect as a fighter. And when I lost to her, I knew my career was over. So your career is over in the ring, and you miss that adulation from the fans and just the competition. There's nothing more exciting than getting ready for a prize fight, and like this week being involved in the pre-fight hype and all the media and all the excitement, just walking through the casino, that you feel the temperature starting to rise because there's a big fight getting ready to happen. Look, honestly, right now at 53 years old, and I've had offers to come back and fight these social media people. I would love to, and if I had not had the stroke, I would probably be just in that same line as Mike Tyson and Roy Jones and those guys, coming back to just to hear those fans roar one more time.
Yeah, because also exhibitions are for good causes, not just to get in the ring and fight again. But you know, the money out of those goes to something always.
Many times, and that's exactly what would be important to me, because I have my nonprofit, Christy's Champs, that supports domestic violence awareness, and that's what we try to do with all of our boxing promotions, bring some attention to domestic violence just so people will be more coherent of what's going on around them. So now I'm doing Christy Martin Promotions, and we're promoting fights in on the East Coast now, mainly South Carolina, Florida. Next year, 2022, we will make our Texas debut. So I'm excited about that, and excited to hopefully team up with the WBC and bring some title fights to Austin, Texas. You know, I think it's one of those situations where the way that the pay scale works in boxing is who sells tickets and who puts butts in the seats. That's who gets paid. And so if Christy Martin Promotions, has a promotion and it's a female fighter that sells the tickets, she's gonna get the biggest purse. But if it's it's a male fighter that weighs 105 pounds, he's gonna be the most he's gonna get the most money. So it's all about who brings eyes to the fight card. And that's where I think that women sometimes get confused. You know, it's bigger than just because I'm a woman fighter I should get paid. It doesn't work like that. You have to sell tickets. You have to be an attraction. You have to be a draw for the promoter in order to get paid. And I don't care if you're man, woman, 105 or heavyweight. I think again it goes back to promoters that are putting female fighters on the show. They just have to. It's just like a man. You know, you shouldn't get and you shouldn't expect anything any differently because you're a female fighter. I know that Don King was my promoter, and I didn't get any better or any worse treatment. I got the same treatment, and I appreciated that because I had to. He gave me the opportunity. He put the door there for me, but I had to walk through it, and that's what I think so many people, so many female fighters especially. They forget. You have to make your own way. I think it's these particular heavyweights that have a buzz going, because both of these guys are very big men, and they both punch, and they both, they've both gone down. We've seen them both get up. So I think there's so much interest in this fight because, it's a fight. And so many times, especially with the heavyweights, they're like lackluster. They throw 3 or 4 punches and hold. Not these two guys. They're gonna fight, and I think that's why there's so much interest in this fight. Yeah, but sometimes it's 147-pound guys. It's the Teofimo Lopez that I love to watch. Tank Davis. It's those guys that are the big fights we're talking about these days. It's going to stay in Wilder's mind for a long time, and he's going to realize that if he starts falling behind a little bit, I think he's going to go back to, oh shit, here we go again, and he's going to panic. And when he hits the panic button, then that's when he's going to get in trouble. I think it's going to be a great fight for as long as it lasts. I think somebody's going to for sure get knocked out. And I think that if I have to make a prediction, I think it's going to be Fury doing the knocking out, because he already has the combination. He already knows the way to beat Wilder. He beat him really the first time. That was a draw. And then we saw what happened the second time. So I anticipate Fury will dominate from earlier in the fight this time. Oh, wow. To say that there's just one memory of my boxing career, I don't even know what that could be. Fighting under Mike Tyson, being promoted by Don King, being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Jose Sulaiman putting that green belt around my waist. I had so many highs in my boxing career that I can't just pick one.